Welcome, friends. Today we're going to talk about a topic that can do more than surprise you. It can seriously change how you see kindness and the role it plays in your life. Many of us were taught that being kind is always good, and that the more we give, the better the world becomes. But what if I told you that excessive, indiscriminate kindness can harm you and in some cases, slowly start breaking your life apart? I've been studying Stoicism for a long time, and I keep seeing the same pattern. People genuinely want to do good, but they end up paying with themselves. Little by little, they lose their boundaries. They lose their sense of who they are. And with that, they lose calm, stability, and inner balance. And it rarely happens overnight. It's a gradual path. One more time you stay silent. One more time you agree. One more time you push through. Most people only realize how far they've gone when it finally hurts and when their strength is already running out. So today, let's break down 10 reasons why too much kindness can become your most dangerous enemy. And let's look at how Stoic wisdom helps you find that sweet spot between altruism and healthy self-interest. After this, you may hear the idea of being a good person in a completely different way. The first reason, and maybe the most deceptive, is that you can turn into a convenient doormat. Picture this: you're always ready to help, you almost never refuse, you say yes even when everything inside you wants to say no, you tell yourself you're doing the right thing, and that your kindness will surely be appreciated. But often the opposite happens. People quickly get used to your rescuing, your supporting, your fixing. At some point your help stops feeling like a gift and starts feeling like a service they're entitled to. And that's when you're no longer seen as a friend or a partner, you're seen as a resource. Someone to load with problems and tasks without much thought about what it costs you. The Stoics warned about this. Kindness is not endless self-sacrifice. It's wisdom and balance. Seneca's message is simple: never help others in a way that destroys you. Because if you drain yourself physically and emotionally trying to carry everyone around you, you eventually won't be able to help anyone. You'll burn out, and you'll become useless to yourself and to others. That's why learning to say no and setting clear boundaries isn't cruelty. It's maturity. The second reason is that excessive kindness can make you a magnet for energy vampires. Maybe you've noticed it. The more you give, the more people expect. As if your generosity attracts those who know how to take, but never give. In psychology, these people are often described as living off other people's resources, time, attention, care. They can complain endlessly, pull you into their crises, and ask for support again and again. But when you need them, they disappear or suddenly have 1,000 reasons why they can't show up. Stoicism teaches us to do good without begging for applause. But it doesn't mean you should tolerate being used. It also teaches discernment. Who you invest in matters. If you give without limits and without awareness, you can become an endless supply for people who don't truly care about you. And that leads straight to exhaustion, resentment, and disappointment in people. So, it's important to recognize those patterns early and set firm boundaries. It doesn't always mean you cut someone off completely. It means you choose how you help, and you do it without sacrificing yourself. The third reason is that you can lose connection with yourself. When you repeatedly put other people's needs above your own, you quietly start living someone else's life. You solve other people's problems, carry their emotions, rescue their plans until you can barely hear your own desires anymore. Over time, your life becomes the background for other people's stories. You become a supporting character in your own narrative, while the main roles go to the people you constantly save. That's dangerous, because it can lead to a real loss of identity. Epictetus put it clearly: first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The idea is powerful. Your first responsibility is to your own values and principles. When you stay true to yourself, you become stronger and more genuinely useful to others. But when you dissolve into other people's demands, you pay for it with your uniqueness. Ask yourself simple questions more often. What do I want? What matters to me? Where am I going? And if you can't answer honestly, it may be time to step back and reset your priorities. The fourth reason is the habit of swallowing your real feelings. When you keep saying yes while you want to say no, you store up tension. It starts as mild irritation, then turns into resentment, disappointment, and eventually anger. And emotions don't vanish just because you ignore them. They build up like poison, changing how you see people and how you experience life. One day that poison can break out in a harsh way through a blow-up, a breakdown, or a cold "I'm done" that shocks everyone. Stoicism doesn't teach you to pretend you have no emotions. It teaches you to notice them, name them, and work with them consciously. Seneca wrote that anger is essentially the desire for revenge, pain looking for payback. So instead of storing pain in silence, it's healthier to learn to refuse calmly, with respect for yourself. Saying no when you need to is not selfishness. It's self-respect. You can refuse without aggression. You can do it with compassion. But if you never do it, you risk becoming the person who suffers quietly and collects grudges for years. The fifth reason is that you can lose the respect of others. It sounds unfair, but it's common. The harder you try to please everyone, the less people respect you. Respect usually comes from inner strength, integrity, and consistency. When you agree against yourself, fail to protect your boundaries, and allow manipulation, you send a message: my needs don't matter. People may not even do it consciously, but they begin to treat you accordingly, like someone convenient and endlessly available. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. And here, the enemy isn't one specific person, it's your own habit of betraying yourself for approval. When you say no with dignity and calm, you show that you value your time and your life. And strangely enough, that often increases your authority in other people's eyes. The sixth reason is emotional and physical burnout. If you keep giving and rarely refill your energy, your inner well eventually runs dry. At some point you realize you don't have the patience, warmth, or strength left to keep being the supportive one. You feel empty, tired, irritable, and unmotivated. And the worst part is that this can last a long time if you don't stop in time. Stoicism doesn't treat rest as weakness. It treats it as a necessary part of a wise life. You can't support others well while neglecting yourself. That's why recovery is not a luxury. Sleep, quiet time, walks, hobbies, creativity, training, meditation, anything that brings you back to yourself matters. Because you can't give what you don't have. The seventh reason is missed opportunities for growth. Every time you automatically say yes to someone else, you sometimes say no to your own goals. Maybe you wanted to study, build a skill, learn a language, work on a project. But you keep choosing other people's priorities because refusing feels uncomfortable. Maybe you postpone travel, education, a career step, or a personal dream because someone needs you. Helping can be beautiful. But when it becomes a system, your life stops moving. Before you agree, pause and ask, what do I lose by saying yes? What do I gain by saying no? Sometimes a short discomfort today opens a door to real growth tomorrow. Your life is your main project. And if your time is always spent on what others demand, you may never build what you truly want. The eighth reason is that you can damage close relationships. It sounds strange because kindness seems like it should strengthen love and friendship. But when you spend years sacrificing yourself and training people to expect yes, you create an unhealthy dynamic. The other person starts seeing your flexibility as normal. And when you finally set a boundary, they experience it as betrayal. You always helped, why not now? Then all the unspoken frustration, exhaustion, and hidden resentment finally surfaces. And relationships can crack. Healthy relationships are not built on one person constantly giving and the other constantly taking. They're built on balance, honesty, and respect for boundaries. Boundaries don't destroy closeness. They protect it. The ninth reason is loss of self-respect. When you consistently put yourself last, you send yourself a signal, I don't matter, and over time, that signal reshapes your self-esteem. You begin to doubt your value, your right to rest, your right to choose, your right to want anything at all. From there it's not far to anxiety, emptiness, and even depression. Stoic teaching reminds us that suffering often grows from interpretation, and if your interpretation of yourself is constant self-neglect, suffering becomes almost inevitable. Self-respect is the foundation of personality. It shouldn't depend on how convenient you are or how much you do for others. Learn to treat your needs as equal, not inferior. Learn to say no without guilt when it's necessary for your well-being. Caring for yourself isn't selfish. It's basic maintenance for a stable life. And the 10th reason is that you can lose the true meaning of kindness. When you chase approval, try to please everyone, and live by other people's expectations, kindness quietly turns into a tool. A tool for earning acceptance, avoiding criticism, or buying love. Then good deeds don't come from free choice. They come from fear, from the need to be praised, from the habit of being good at any cost. You become dependent on external evaluation and start living with a constant anxiety. What if they don't like me anymore? The Stoics saw real kindness differently. True kindness doesn't need an audience. It doesn't bargain. It comes from values, inner harmony, and a sincere wish to make life a little better. It's not a mask. It's a character. That's why it's so important to separate genuine kindness from its substitutes. Help not to look good, and not because you're afraid to be judged, but because it matches your principles. Support others without self-destruction. Do good with respect for your own boundaries. So, friends, these are 10 reasons why excessive kindness can slowly tear your life apart. But this is not a call to swing to the other extreme and become cold or indifferent. Stoicism teaches the middle path: be generous, but not at your own expense, care about others, but don't abandon your own needs, say no calmly, with compassion and dignity. Sometimes the greatest act of kindness isn't endless giving. It's a wise, calm no to manipulation. No to being used. No to the violation of your boundaries. No to anything that drains you and steals your inner strength. Let's practice this wisdom in real life. Let's learn to be kind to ourselves, so we still have the energy to be truly kind to others. Let's value our time, our strength, and our talents and invest them where they create real good and real joy. Don't be afraid of kindness, just make it conscious. Don't be afraid to love, just love yourself too. Don't be afraid to give, just give with clarity, with a light heart, and without demanding a reward. Then your kindness becomes strength, not weakness. It becomes wings, not a burden. There is a spark of light inside each of us. The task is not to let it go out under the weight of other people's demands, but to turn it into a flame that lights the way for us and for those around us. That's the art of living, to bring love and kindness into the world wisely, consciously, and with respect for yourself. Thank you for being here. If these ideas resonated with you and gave you something to reflect on, share this video with someone who might need it, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And remember, kindness starts with love and respect for yourself. I wish you Stoic wisdom, balance in every area of life, and that true golden mean between egoism and self-sacrifice. May your path be filled with meaning, clarity, and inner strength. See you soon on the Stoic Clarity Lab channel, where we learn the great art of living together.